So, welcome to Mindset in Five, where we have real conversations with athletes who stepped away from their sport early. I'm Andrea from Lewin Elite, and I'm joined by a former hockey player. Norman, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Take us back to a time as a hockey player. What did you love about the sport, and what was the experience like as an athlete?
I think my earliest memory that really strikes a chord is probably something I share with my mother. My mother always told me about this one story. One morning I woke up and I'm like, Mom, we have to hurry up and get to the ice because like it's the freshest in the morning because the Zambonis, no one has skated on the ice, and it's like it's almost like you're like baptizing or blessing the ice first. I always had this like obsession with like being first on the ice and first in the skating drills, and I think that molded my lifestyle. Like, so I think that memory, as far as hockey goes, is probably my earliest memory. And then I think just like the the friendship aspect that I've built with like a lot of people and like learning how to like navigate through different spaces, I think is another one that I really learned the most about hockey and like I appreciate now later on in life.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that um, those things that you mentioned are things that shape young athletes, right? It's that camaraderie when you win a game. You're in it in the trenches when you lose, right?
Yeah.
So, what what was the turning point where the sport stopped feeling the same for you? What was that one thing? And it may not just be one thing. It may be, a combination of things.
I think at first when you're younger and you're playing the sport, you're amongst friends and peers that like share just like the love of like play, I guess, right? And
Hmm.
then you get older and people start to mention things like college and sports after and the NHL and just different things that you may have pondered upon but never really like fully dreamed about, like, you know what I mean? You had small dreams as a kid, and then you get to like around high school and people start to ask you bigger questions and more serious questions about what you're going to do and who you're going to play for next year. And I think grade 9 is when I started realizing I'm like, oh, like I don't get to just stay at the local hockey arena anymore. Like my talents have exceeded that place. And like I have to move on to the next step. And if I get better, I'm gonna have to move on to the next step. And then I realized moving on to the next step often meant like my friends couldn't come with me. And it became how much do I really love this? Like for myself and not just like a place to meet up with the boys.
So it sounds like then your identity was really wrapped up in the friendships.
Yeah, in the
Was
beginning,
it all-
totally.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I think everything was just an extracurricular. I played soccer. It was an extracurricular. It was, you know, gymnastics or t-ball or it was just extracurricular. I don't think until maybe grade 7 or grade 8, I was like, oh, I think this is a sport I have to take serious and like this could lead to something. And I think that it happened because like I said, I seen people falling behind and not being able to make the team the year after and the year after. And not only are they not making the team, I'm getting more responsibility on these teams. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so my
Yeah.
role is growing. You know,
Hmm. So what was it that made you say, you know what, I'm just going to step away at this point?
with hockey,
Yeah.
it wasn't really my choice to step away. I think it was incoming. I just didn't know it at the time. But
Hmm.
yeah, like there was a lot going on in life at that time. I think I was about 17 years old and I ran into some trouble. But prior to me running into trouble, I had a disagreement with the coach and the owner of the league, and they basically kind of went behind my back and they didn't put me on the team that I was currently on for 5 years. I would have been going into my fifth and no sixth final year on that team. And they just waited till the end of the weekend to tell me I wasn't on the team, but they did it on purpose because they were like, I can't. They didn't want me to play for any other team and face them that season. So unannounced to them, I don't think they knew what that brought. But a few months later, I ran into some legal troubles, and that was kind of it for hockey. And I forfeited my senior year basically playing hockey, and then it was just like something that was behind me after that.
What was your mindset like at that time when you found out that, you couldn't play, that the coaches were not necessarily going to call you back on the team? Like, what was going on emotionally, if you want to share at
Oh,
that
for sure.
time? Yeah.
I think with me, I was confused. Like, it's
Mm,
easy to talk about something now and have a better understanding because I'm older. But I think at the time, I was just confused. Wasn't really looking at, like I said, the world that way and the politics of sports. I thought like if you're good enough to play, they'll put you on the team and you'll play. I never understood the financial aspect of like how much it costs to play every season and where the money was even coming from. And I think that was the first time at 17 I started asking myself and having to like figure out those questions, and I think that's the beautiful side because I was in bliss the entire
mm,
time I was playing hockey. I didn't ask where or how. I just got on the ice and tried my hardest.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was sad because I had put in my time, my effort, my years, and my youth into that team and club. So I felt like I was a part of the family, and when they told me you're no longer part of the family, I was on my own.
Disappointing
It was disappointing and confusing.
and confusing.
Yeah.
So, thank you for sharing that. What do you wish you knew as a young athlete that you know now?
And this kind of branches off to maybe like what we'll talk about later, what I did after post career. But I think
Mhm,
um, selling yourself and making sure like your name and your um, reputation, like you can speak for, and someone can't really speak for you. I think it's so important. Like I think I would have, if I could have gone back, I probably would have taken control a little bit more, or of like just my own needs at the time, and not so much been like, oh, this is where my friends play hockey. Let me stay here. You know what I mean? I think I probably would have went to a different club that would have led me to a different path. But no regrets. But I think that's important. I think I've learned that in life is you have to watch out for yourself. Because
yeah.
sadly it
That
is a business.
yeah, that's a good segue. What's one advice that you would give to a young athlete today
You
that's
have to
maybe experiencing the same thing that you went through?
you have to watch out for yourself. You have
Mm,
to trust that gut feeling. I think in like instincts are very magical. I think that's the only magic we really have is like that feeling that you have, like that gut feeling, like oh, that or that intuition, like oh, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time
mhm.
for me to move on. And I think that's the best thing that's ever happened to me in life is like understanding when it's time. It's kept me out of a lot of situations going forward. Like just being like, yeah, this that's run its course. I had a good time, and it's time to move on and program and re-navigate like what I'm doing next. You know.
Yeah, that's a really important thing to note, and I think especially because you talk about how young you were, and so oftentimes young athletes don't have control over what happens, right? They've
Mhm.
got coaches, parents, like you mentioned, friendships, that they get kind of swayed oftentimes
Yeah.
to play in sport
Hmm.
when they maybe, are feeling that it's time to move on. So, if parents and coaches are listening, what's one thing you want them to understand?
Listening is a funny word, not to double entre what you're saying, but I think listening to each other as a parent and like I use the word student athlete basically because I think that's the main focus. How do you become the greatest athlete, but like fulfill your needs as a student, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's what went back and forth sometimes when it came to me and my mother and my parent, like, how can I go to hockey 6 days a week, you know, and
Yeah.
also achieve like what I have to, and like with my grades in a regular school that's not really like catered to athletes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think like that listening aspect is probably the most important thing, like, and understanding when it's time to take a break, or it's okay to, like, you know say no to this extracurricular activity because they do have a lot on their plate.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I can't believe 5 minutes have already gone.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, tell us a little bit about where your life has taken since sport. Like, what are you doing today, and how has sport helped you along the way?
Well, I transitioned like shortly after into making music, which was a second a love of mine, and it went well. I had a lot of like success in the music industry, and you make a lot of friends. And I think, like I said, positioning and understanding when your time is, and then being able to re-navigate, like I said earlier, and be like, and rebrand and say, oh, this is what you're good at, and this is where you can help, and stay in that field, and also help others in that field. And I think that's what I've been doing since I transitioned from playing hockey and as an athlete. And now I'm in the entertainment industry, and it's great. Yeah, I love it. I
You're
wouldn't change anything.
you're probably learning like or using a lot of the lessons from hockey, the disappointments, right? Like,
Yeah,
talk about the music industry and how like they're so related when you talk about sports and the
right.
experience you had, right?
But so related. I even with me, I think number one is with what helped me in my music industry in career was showing up on time. Like when I
Oh,
when I played hockey, we had to be at our games 2 3 hours early. We had to dress in ties, and just it molded me into being a professional. So by the time I transitioned into being an artist, like, I always was praised on my tardiness and like the way I conducted myself. I used to do everything in the beginning by myself before I had a team of my own. And yeah, a lot of those things and that I learned from hockey helped me
leadership,
later on. Yeah, leadership, like just getting the
communication.
job done, and like, getting a
Yes,
task and finishing it, and not
yes.
giving up and having hard days and being able to push past. Same things with like we be in hockey tournaments, and you may be losing a game, but you can't give up. It's the same thing in life. You may be losing a day or two or even a year, but like you really can't give up. And I think like patience is the number one thing I've learned, and grace throughout the two fields. I think that's the commonality of like between the two. Like we're like patience and grace. You need to have both, or you're not going to be able to push through to the next.
Yeah, that is such an amazing point, and thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Um, I think that's pretty much it. I would love to end on that note, like patience and grace. I think we should all have a lot more patience and grace with everyone.
Patience and grace. Yes, we'll
Hmm.
carry that forward.
Hmm.
So that's it for this episode. Together, we explored mindset challenges athletes face, the lessons they learned, and how those experiences continue to shape who they are long after sport. Norman, thank you so much for taking time to share your story. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us. Keep becoming, keep building, and keep showing up. Thank you.